Hello everyone. In this video, I will be talking about probably one of the dumbest trolls that frequent the comment section of the Atheist Experience YouTube channel. And that's saying a lot. His stupidity primarily comes from him trying too hard to seem smart. And when he reveals his ignorance, instead of admitting that he got it wrong, he will double down and try to make it seem like everyone else is wrong and he is right. Ironically, he shares the same initials as Dunning-Kruger. It's none other than DamonKenny, aka the Donkey. His handles are at DamonKenny3444 and at DamonKenny7818, though he probably has more. He has a long history of spewing word salad and bringing up pseudo-philosophical concepts that he obviously does not understand. And in this video, we'll talk about him getting a very fundamental concept wrong. We'll be talking about the ISAT fallacy. The ISAT fallacy has its roots in the work of Scottish philosopher David Hume. He is an empiricist, but DaMonkey didn't even know that and called him a pragmatist or a positivist, I forget which. And a funny side story, because I couldn't remember whether he mistook Hume as a positivist or a pragmatist, he started accusing me of not knowing the difference between the two. When he gets embarrassed when called out for these obvious errors, his immediate reaction is to deflect and accuse his opponent of something totally unrelated. But back to the ISAT fallacy. The flaw here is that of someone concluding what should be the odd in this case, based solely on what is. It essentially mixes up facts, the is part, with values, the ought. The is refers to factual statements about the way the world is. For example, a triangle has three sides. That is an is. The ought refers to value judgments about how things should be or what is morally right or wrong. These are based on opinions, beliefs, or ethical principles, things like people ought not pretend to know something when they don't. The fallacy occurs when someone bridges the gap between the is and the ought without justification. Just because something exists or happens a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that it's the way it should be. Note that this doesn't mean you can't have an ought that corresponds to an is. It just means that you need some justification to go from one to the other. And it's clear that DaMonkey doesn't know this. Let's go to the comments. So the whole thing starts with Paul starting up DamonKenny, the troll who can't deal with what people actually say and makes up straw men to attack instead. And DaMonkey disputes this by making up a straw man to attack instead. He says, "Why did you argue oughts can't be derived from objective facts? Are you clueless or just lying?" Of course, Paul did not argue that oughts can't be derived from objective facts. What he argued is that oughts can't be described from an is, a statement of what things are, not necessarily objective facts. So that's how this whole thread starts. And he starts talking about the triangle ought have three sides. So he keeps on trying to say that there is that because a triangle has three sides, that means that you should be able to say that there is a requirement, a moral requirement for a triangle having three sides, which is completely wrong. So if we go down, he keeps on repeating the same thing. Why are you asserting the denial that a triangle ought have three sides? Actually, if we go back up, Paul here says a triangle does have three sides by definition. There is no ought involved. Try again. And this is the main counter to DaMonkey's straw man. No one here is saying that triangle doesn't have three sides. We are saying, the people who understand this point, is saying that triangle having three sides correct by definition is an is statement. It's not an ought statement. So triangle having three sides is not some type of moral imperative. And it is definitely not an ought. You would never say a triangle ought to have three sides, or you never say that a man ought be mortal. A man is mortal. All right, so if we keep going down here, DaMonkey keeps on doing the same thing. You explained the triangle does not have three sides. No, that's incorrect. That's his straw man. And Paul says, I can't help if you can't understand plain English. And he generally doesn't understand plain English, or he purposely doesn't understand. And so he keeps on saying that people are arguing that triangle does not have three sides. And he is continually wrong. And so this is where I first come in here. DaMonkey has never heard of the ISAT fallacy, has he? But then again, he doesn't even understand that tautology doesn't convey propositional meaning. That refers to when, in the past, DaMonkey claimed that anything that's a tautology is true by definition, because he doesn't understand logical truth versus a propositional truth. But it is obvious that DaMonkey doesn't understand what the ISAT fallacy is, because he keeps on using the ought statement to describe an is. Wait, am I getting this right? DaMonkey thinks that the definition of triangle is an example of deriving an ought from an is. Right, that's what he keeps on doing. He keeps on using the definition of a triangle as some type of a normative statement that a triangle ought to have. It doesn't ought to have, it does have three sides. And I'll just scroll down towards the end here. And you can all read that thread, all the juicy details. But it really kind of goes back and forth with this, where he continuously gets stuck on this idea that the counter argument to his point is that a triangle doesn't have to have three sides. That's completely wrong. The argument is that he's taking an is statement and trying to make it an ought, which is completely what the is-ought fallacy is. But in this case, it's even worse, because no one would say that a triangle ought to have three sides. It just does. So later on, he does kind of bring this up, where geometric attributes aren't moral qualities. Why did you argue oughts can't be derived from an objective facts? So he admits that this geometric attribute is not a moral quality, but he's expressing it as a moral quality. And he says to me, why would a geometric attribute be a moral quality? You can't do basic philosophy. Obviously, DaMonkey can't do basic philosophy. So I point out what he's doing here. He said, why would a geometric attribute be a moral quality? But he also says, you can derive an ought, a moral judgment, from a geometric attribute. Meaning he's making an ought statement of a triangle having three sides, even though he says a geometric attribute is not a moral quality. Again, demonstrating how he is completely ignorant of what the is-ought fallacy is. And Paul just confirms what I said. That's why we don't use ought statements about them. And despite all this explanation, he still doesn't get it. He says a triangle ought having three sides isn't a moral judgment. Yes, that's right. So why are you expressing it as a moral judgment? You don't know basic philosophy. No, DaMonkey doesn't know basic philosophy. You can't read basic words. DaMonkey can read basic words, but I have doubts whether he understands the basic words. So I think this is enough here to just point out how he is completely wrong about this. So the analogous statement to his point that a triangle ought have 3 sides is a person ought to have courage. So that's an ought statement. And if you were to do a similar kind of negation that DaMonkey does, you would come up with a person doesn't ought have courage, which doesn't make sense. The correct negation would be a person ought not have courage, or a negation of the value judgment would be a person doesn't have to have courage. So throughout this, he should say that the negation of the triangle statement is a triangle doesn't ought to have or doesn't need to have 3 sides. That's what he should be arguing that we are saying, that we are saying that a triangle doesn't have to have 3 sides. That makes more sense. But if things made more sense, it wouldn't be DaMonkey. Well, that'll do for today's video of DaMonkey's ignorance of the ISAT fallacy. If you find this entertaining and would like to see more, please like and comment below. Also, please subscribe and watch the weekly live stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. U.S. Central. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the comments.